Today, we're diving into one of the most common pieces of writing advice you'll hear as an author: show, don't tell. It's a classic for a reason, but what does it actually mean? Especially when it comes to bringing your characters to life on the page. In this video, we'll explore how you can use dialogue and actions to reveal your characters in ways that are dynamic, immersive, and incredibly engaging for your readers. By the end of our discussion, you'll have a crystal clear understanding of why showing your characters is so powerful, and a toolkit of practical strategies to help you craft character interactions that sparkle with personality, subtext, and authenticity. If you're ready to make your characters leap off the page and straight into readers' hearts, this is the video for you. Let's jump in. Picture this. You're reading a story and you come across a passage that goes something like, Sarah was a shy, anxious girl who always worried what others thought of her. Technically, this description tells us something about Sarah's personality, but it feels a bit flat and lifeless, doesn't it? Now imagine if, instead of just being told about Sarah's shyness, we actually got to watch her fidget with her hair and avoid eye contact when the cute boy in class tries to talk to her. Instantly, Sarah becomes so much more real and relatable. We can picture her, empathize with her, maybe even see a bit of our own awkward teenage selves in her. That's the magic of showing character through dialogue and action. It creates an immersive experience for the reader, letting them witness the character in living color rather than just hearing a second-hand summary. So, why is this show don't tell approach so effective when it comes to characterization? For one thing, it engages the reader's imagination in a really active, participatory way. When you show a character through their words and behaviors, you're trusting the reader to interpret and draw conclusions about who that character is, rather than just passively absorbing a list of traits. It's like the difference between reading a character's Wikipedia page and actually meeting them in person. One feels distant and dry. The other feels immediate and captivating. Plus, dialogue and actions have this incredible ability to reveal character in complex, multi-layered ways that straight description just can't match. Take one of my favorite examples from Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice. There's a scene where the proud Mr. Darcy and the spirited Elizabeth Bennet are verbally sparring at a ball, and Darcy quips, "I could easily forgive his pride if he had not mortified mine." Elizabeth fires back, "Pride is a very common failing, I believe." In just a few lines of dialogue, we get such a vivid sense of both characters. Darcy's haughtiness and ego, Elizabeth's wit and boldness in challenging him. But there's also this electric subtext running beneath the words, this sense of two razor-sharp minds meeting and secretly thrilling at finding a worthy opponent. It's flirty, tense, layered with meaning. And it reveals character in such a dynamic, irresistible way. As a writer, that's what you're aiming for every time your characters open their mouths or take an action. To show something essential about who they are, not just on the surface, but in their bones. So how can you craft dialogue and actions that paint your characters in full color and 3D? I've got a few key strategies for you. Number 1, focus on making each character's dialogue distinct and personal to them. Pay attention to the specific words they choose, the length and rhythm of their sentences, the slang or verbal tics they use. An anxious teenager is going to talk in a completely different way than a world-weary elderly veteran, right? Maybe your teen character speaks in run-ons and likes, while your veteran is terse and clipped. Even two characters from similar backgrounds will have their own unique voices based on their personalities. An extrovert might chatter and joke around, while an introvert is more likely to get straight to the point or even trail off. Really listen to how your characters talk in your mind's ear and try to capture that singularity on the page. The more your character dialogue sounds like it could only come out of that particular character's mouth, the more authentic and immersive it will be. Hand in hand with that, number 2, use actions, reactions, and body language to reveal character during dialogue exchanges. How a character physically holds themselves and responds to what's being said can speak just as loudly as the actual words. Is your character the type to lean in and make intense eye contact when they're interested in a conversation? Do they cross their arms and get defensive when they feel attacked? Do they roll their eyes and check their phone when they're bored? These telling details can paint such a clear picture of a character's inner world and how they operate socially. Whenever you're writing a stretch of dialogue, pause and visualize the scene in your mind like you're watching a movie. What is each character doing with their face, their hands, their posture? Weave those telling actions into the conversation and watch how much deeper and more evocative the characterization becomes. Number 3, subtext, subtext, subtext. Often in real life, the most important parts of a conversation are the things that aren't being said directly. We hint, we imply, we talk around the real issue. As a writer, you can use that to your advantage to reveal character in these subtle, intriguing ways. If a character changes the subject abruptly when an uncomfortable topic comes up, that avoidance tells us something key about them. If a character agrees to a request, but their actions seem reluctant or even contradictory, that disconnect between their words and demeanor could hint at some complex inner conflict. It's all about learning to write between the lines, to pack the silences and pauses with meaning. Trust your readers to pick up on subtext and draw their own conclusions. They'll feel like they're uncovering the characters layer by layer and become so much more invested as a result. And finally, number 4, use dialogue and actions to show how your characters are changing and growing over the course of the story. One of the most satisfying parts of reading is getting to watch characters evolve. You can reveal those beautiful character arcs through the way a character's words and actions shift in key scenes. Maybe your shy Sarah character starts the story hiding in the corner at parties, but by the end, we get to see her cracking jokes and chatting easily with her crush. Or maybe the way your characters respond to conflict with each other shifts from defensive and combative to vulnerable and empathetic as they learn to understand each other better. Tracking those changes in your characters' interactions is such a powerful way to make their development feel earned and authentic. At the end of the day, the goal here is to create an experience for the reader that feels less like reading about a character and more like spending time with a real, multifaceted person. When you reveal characters through their own words and actions, you create this sense of immediacy and intimacy, like the reader is right there in the room, watching it all unfold. You also engage the reader's intelligence by allowing them to interpret characters' behavior and draw their own emotional connections. It's a way of showing respect for your audience, trusting them to be active participants in the story rather than just passive recipients of information. So, let's recap. Whenever possible, aim to reveal your characters through what they say and do, rather than just through exposition or description. Craft dialogue that's distinct to each character's personality, background, and emotional state. Use actions, reactions, and body language to give a sense of characters' inner worlds and social quirks. Layer subtext and implication into character interactions to build depth and intrigue. And track how your character's dialogue and behavior changes over time to reveal their all-important growth and arcs. Put all of that together, and you'll be well on your way to creating characters that truly live and breathe on the page. Of course, this is a skill that takes time and practice to develop. I'm constantly pushing myself to go deeper with showing character through dialogue and action in my own writing. But I promise it's worth the effort. Readers can tell when a character has been fleshed out with this level of authenticity and dimensionality, and they'll connect with those characters on such a profound level as a result. There's no feeling quite like getting a review that says, I felt like these characters were real people, or I miss hanging out with these characters now that I've finished the book. That's when you know you've done the showing character work. So here's your next step. Open up a scene in your work in progress and take a hard look at how you're revealing character through dialogue and action. Are you giving each character a unique voice? Are you using actions and body language to convey their emotions and personalities? Is there subtext and implication beneath the surface of the scene, things left unsaid for the reader to interpret? Identify any spots where you're defaulting to telling about a character and brainstorm ways to translate that into showing instead. The more you practice this skill of revealing character through interactions and behaviors, the more naturally it will come to you. And hey, if you want to take your writing skills to the next level and support this channel in the process, I've got a great opportunity for you. In the description below this video, you'll find a link to my online writing course, which dives deep into the nuts and bolts of how to craft compelling characters, build immersive worlds, structure satisfying plots, and so much more. It's a great way to accelerate your growth as a writer and join a supportive community of fellow authors.